Hi guys, chapter 15, reading number 3. If you remember in this reading, where we left off, Little Bear in reading number 2 was about to go under the floorboards to help Omri and Patrick, because Omri's pretty sure that's where the key is. And if you also remember Gillen's rat, Omri's dad has seen underneath the floorboards as well in Omri's room. So this should get very exciting. So, do you think you could, I'm going to reread this little section right here. I think it's somewhere down there, Omri said quietly, on the other side of the wooden wall. You'll have to find a way through. A hole, a crack, or something. We'll give you all the light we can, but it's bound to be awfully dark on the other side. Do you think you can do it?
I go,
said Little Bear immediately. Right. Start looking for a way through, Little Bear. A tiny, vulnerable figure strolled off through the dust in the darkness under the floor. Omri pulled the lampshade off the bedside lamp and thrust the bulb down in the hole. He couldn't get his head in to watch, and Little Bear went out of sight almost at once. Is there a way through? He whispered down the tunnel.
Yes,
came Little Bear's voice.
Big hole. I go through.
Omri,
give light.
Omri pushed the light down as far as he could, but the base of the lamp made it stick. Can you see anything? He whispered as loudly as he dared. There was no answer. He and Patrick knelt there for an age, and there wasn't a sound. Then Patrick said suddenly, Did he take his bow and arrow? No. Why? What if? What if Omri? What if he meets the rat? Omri had totally forgotten about the rat. In the excitement of realizing what happened to the key, now he felt a strange jerk at his chest, as if his heart had just hiccuped. He bent his head till his face was in the hole. He could smell the dust. The bright bulb was between him and the place where Little Bear had presumably gone, through a hole in the joist into the next section of the underfloor. A hole. What could make a hole right through a joist? What else besides a rat gnawing all day? Oh, a rat at this moment, out on his night prowl. A hungry rat who hadn't eaten for 24 hours. A pink-eyed, needle-toothed, very giant rat. Little Bear, Omri called frantically into the blankness. Come back! Come back! Utter silence. Then he heard something. But it wasn't Little Bear's voice. It was the scuttering sound of a rodent's hard little hairless feet on lath and plaster. Little Bear! Omri? It was a voice from downstairs. What are you doing up there? It was his mother. Then quite distinctly he heard his father's voice.
I can hear that blasted rat pattering about overhead. It's probably keeping those boys awake.
I'd better go up, said his mother. A door closed, and they heard her coming up the stairs. Even this dire prospect hardly had the power to do more than push Omri's desperation one stage further. He probably wouldn't have moved from his place on the floor if Patrick hadn't acted swiftly. Quick! Lights off! Get in bed! He pulled Omri up, snatched the lamp out of his hand, and switched it off, and the candle was still down in the hole. And Patrick shoved the floorboard roughly back into position and moved the carpet so that it was more or less covering the boards, if you didn't look closely. Then he pushed Omri into his bed and covered him up, and the footsteps were nearly at the door. and he had just flung himself down on the folding bed when the door opened. Omri laid there with his eyes squeezed shut, thinking, "Don't put on the light. Don't put on the light." Light was coming into the room from the landing, but not enough to see anything much. His mother stood there for what seemed like 100 years. Finally, she whispered, "Are you boys asleep?" Needless to say, she got no reply. "Omri," she tried once more. Then after another 100 years, during which Omri imagined Little Bear bitten in half by the rat right beneath them, the door closed again, leaving them in the darkness. "Wait, wait," Patrick breathed. It was torture to wait. The rat had stopped moving when all the scuffling of footsteps had started. That was something. But now it was quiet again. Omri imagined it creeping towards its prey, its pink nose twitching, its albino whiskers, which means like that they're really white without any color, whiskers trembling hungrily. Oh, how could he have let Little Bear go down there? Oh, Boone's death would at least not have been his fault, but if Little Bear was killed, Omri knew he would never forgive himself. At long last, the living room door closed, and both boys stole out again. Patrick reached the light first. Omri grabbed it, but Patrick insisted on looking first to see if Boone was still breathing. He was, and they rolled back the carpet and lifted the boards again, terrified that each movement would attract the grown-ups below. The homemade candle was burning away in the gloom, like a little torch in a disused mine, throwing its eerie light down the tunnel. And I'm going to stop right there. It's getting good, isn't it?